Welcome to Trending Update USA. I'm Stefan, and today we're asking a bigger question than just who wins the tennis final. Are we witnessing a shift in power, pressure, and personality at the very top of women's tennis? Because when Danielle Collins publicly backs Coco Gauff to make the Miami Open final hard for Aryna Sabalenka, it's not just a casual opinion. It's insight from someone who understands the pressure, the spotlight, and the emotional reality of competing at this level. Let's quickly break down what happened. Danielle Collins, known for her honesty and competitive fire, expressed confidence that Coco Gauff has the ability to seriously challenge Aryna Sabalenka in a potential Miami Open final. It's a simple statement on the surface. But when you look deeper, it opens up a much bigger conversation about momentum, mental strength, generational change, and what it really takes to compete under global scrutiny. Now let's move beyond the headline and talk about what this actually means. First, let's talk about Coco Gauff. At just a young age, she's no longer the future, she's already the present. The expectations around her have changed dramatically. Early in her career, she was the exciting teenager shocking the world. Now, she walks into tournaments like Miami with the weight of expectation. Fans don't just hope she performs, they expect her to win. That shift is subtle, but it's massive. Because when expectations rise, pressure follows. And pressure in tennis is deeply personal. There's no team to hide behind. No substitutions. No timeout where someone else takes over. It's just you, your thoughts, and the moment. Collins recognizing that Gauff can make things hard for Sabalenka is really an acknowledgement of Gauff's mental growth. It's not just about her athletic ability anymore, it's about her resilience. Her ability to handle big stages, loud crowds, and the emotional swings that come with high-stakes matches. Now let's look at Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka has built her reputation on power and intensity. When she's at her best, she can overwhelm opponents. But that same intensity can also become a source of pressure. Maintaining that level match after match, especially in a final, is not easy. And that's where Collins' comment becomes interesting. She's not saying Gauff will dominate. She's saying Gauff will make it difficult. That's a very specific kind of challenge. It suggests long rallies, emotional battles, momentum swings, the kind of match where mental strength becomes just as important as physical skill. In modern tennis, especially at the top level, matches are often decided not by who hits harder, but by who handles pressure better. And this brings us to a bigger theme, the mental side of the sport. Athletes today are not just competing against opponents. They're competing against expectations, headlines, and constant visibility. Every match is analyzed. Every reaction is captured. Every mistake can go viral within seconds. For players like Gauff and Sabalenka, the mental load is enormous. Think about it, millions of people watching, commenting, judging. Social media has turned every athlete into both a performer and a public figure. There's no real separation anymore. And that's where things get complicated. Because while social media helps grow the sport, it also creates pressure that previous generations didn't have to deal with. Players are expected to engage, to respond, to present themselves in a certain way, all while preparing for high-level competition. For someone like Coco Gauff, who has grown up in this digital era, this is normal. But that doesn't mean it's easy. There's a constant balance between being accessible and protecting your own mental space. And this is something Danielle Collins has spoken about in the past. The importance of boundaries, of focusing on yourself despite the noise around you. So when Collins backs Gauff, it's not just about tennis skills. It's about mindset. It's about recognizing that Gauff has developed the mental tools needed to compete at the highest level. Now let's talk about Sabalenka again, because her journey is equally important. She has faced her own challenges with pressure, especially in big moments. But what makes her dangerous is her ability to evolve. She's worked on her mental game, her consistency, and her composure. So if this final happens, it's not just a match, it's a clash of two different psychological approaches. Gauff represents controlled aggression, composure, and adaptability. Sabalenka represents power, intensity, and emotional energy. And Collins, having competed against players like this, understands how those dynamics play out. When she says Gauff will make it hard, she's pointing to the idea that this won't be a straightforward match. It will test both players in ways that go beyond technique. Now let's zoom out even further. Why does this matter beyond just one final? Because women's tennis is in a fascinating moment right now. There's a mix of established champions and rising stars. The hierarchy isn't fixed. On any given day, multiple players can win. That unpredictability is exciting for fans, but it also increases pressure on players. There's no room to relax. No easy matches. Every round demands focus. And in that environment, mental strength becomes the defining factor. This is why voices like Danielle Collins matter. She's not just commenting, she's offering perspective from inside the sport. She understands the emotional reality behind the matches we watch. Now let's talk about media exposure. Big tournaments like the Miami Open bring massive attention. Interviews, press conferences, headlines, it's nonstop. Players are constantly asked to explain their performance, their mindset, their expectations. And while that's part of professional sport, it can also be exhausting. Imagine finishing a tough match and immediately having to analyze it in front of cameras. Every word you say can be interpreted, shared, and discussed. For players like Gauff and Sabalenka, managing that exposure is part of the job. And this connects directly to performance. Because the more noise there is around a player, the harder it becomes to stay focused internally. This is why some athletes choose to limit their social media use during tournaments. It's not about avoiding fans, it's about protecting their mental space. And in a high-pressure final, that mental clarity can make all the difference. Now let's bring it back to the core idea. Danielle Collins believes Coco Gauff can make life difficult for Aryna Sabalenka. That's not a prediction of victory. It's a recognition of competitiveness. It's about understanding that at this level, matches are rarely easy. They're battles of skill, mindset, and endurance. And for fans, that's exactly what makes tennis so compelling. We're not just watching athletes hit a ball. We're watching them navigate pressure, expectation, and emotion in real time. And in a world where everything is fast, public, and constantly evolving, that human element becomes even more important. So whether you support Gauff, Sabalenka, or just love the sport, this potential final represents something bigger. It's about growth. It's about resilience. It's about how athletes adapt to a modern sports landscape that demands more than ever before. And maybe that's the real story here. Not just who wins, but how they handle everything that comes with trying to win. Because in today's game, success isn't just about talent. It's about balance. Balance between confidence and pressure. Between visibility and privacy. Between expectation and reality. And players like Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka are learning to navigate that balance in front of the entire world. That's what makes this moment worth paying attention to. Not just as tennis fans, but as observers of how modern athletes evolve under pressure. And that's why Danielle Collins' words carry weight. She's seen it. She's lived it. And she recognizes it when she sees it in someone else. In the end, whether Gauff makes it hard for Sabalenka or not, the deeper story is already unfolding. A story about competition, mindset, and what it means to perform at the highest level in today's world. And that's something that goes far beyond one match. Now before we wrap up, here are a few questions for you. Do you think Coco Gauff has the mental edge over Aryna Sabalenka in a big final? Can modern players truly balance social media presence with peak performance? Is mental strength now more important than physical skill in tennis? Let me know your thoughts. This is Stefan for Trending Update USA, and I'll see you in the next one.